Time then to preview the final day of Glorious Goodwood, the Saturday, day 5 action, of course. And I speak now on the Friday morning where the ground has dried back a bit to soft, good to soft in places. And you'd imagine it will continue to dry over the course of the next 24 hours or so. So we could be talking extraordinarily around about good ground perhaps for tomorrow, but we'll have to see how today's racing pans out first. And that might well temper some of the thoughts for tomorrow's action on the Saturday at Glorious Goodwood. And there aren't too many races actually that look too appealing at this stage because of that slight question mark over the ground, perhaps. I haven't delved too deeply into some of the races, but one race that obviously piques the interest and will do so for many punters tomorrow, of course, is the Stewards Cup, probably one of the feature races, if not the feature race of the whole week. And it can be sometimes pretty draw dependent, can't it? If it's a softer ground Stewards Cup or softer ground meeting, then high numbers, stand side could sometimes be the place to be. But often you see on drying ground, with the fresh strip of ground that they open up over on the far side of the course, quite a lot of jockeys are happy to roll down the camber towards that inside of the track. So might be worth having a look at the whole race in its entirety once we've seen Friday's action, but certainly two horses at this stage in the Stewards Cup that catch the eye, and they're both drawn on either side actually, which is good because it will give us a couple of options. For those drawn high, I thought Strike Red for Richard Fahey was a really interesting option. He's a horse who ran a cracker of a race last year when on the outside of the near side group, and actually was probably slightly unfavoured by that in behind Get It. Of course, who won the race last year when just about making all. Get It's in here again. He's drawn high, so he'll go forward from those high boxes, and that should help Strike Red, who's in stall 21. And he ran a cracker, I thought, against the track bias at York last time out as well. He's a horse who loves a strong pace to aim at. Bit of dig in the ground would be ideal for him. I think some of his best form has come with a bit of juice in the ground, so he'd quite like to see it not dry up too much for Strike Red. But I think there's lots in his favour, actually. And if you can get somewhere around the 18 to 1, 16 to 1 mark about Strike Red, he looks to have a decent chance to at least run into the frame, if not slightly more. And of those horses drawn a bit lower, Completely Random, I thought, was definitely of interest. He's definitely on the short list. He couldn't be drawn any lower. Stall 1, of course, for Completely Random, Harry Charlton's runner in here. In the Wokingham, he ran a good race behind Get It last time out, when it very much favoured perhaps those on the front end. Of course, More Thunder was able to come through and run down most of the field except Get It, but More Thunder is a very, very good horse in the making, of course, after he won the Bunbury Cup. And Completely Random has been running really well all season. 2 wins to his name and then a decent 5th at Newbury before that Stewards Cup effort. I think Goodwood, a well-run 6 furlongs on decent ground, could really suit Completely Random, actually. So any double-figure quotes, certainly about him, are worthy of some real interest as well. So that's the main look at Goodwood on Saturday. A couple of races at Galway that are definitely worth keeping on the radar as well. The 2:37, which is the Galway Tribes Handicap Hurdle, always a prestigious race, 2 miles, bit of a Galway hurdle consolation race, if you will. And Telecon, the top weight, is a horse that I've been waiting for to run for quite a while, I must admit. He's a horse that goes well fresh. And the last time we saw him, he ran a cracker in 3rd behind Calaconte in the early season Down Royal Handicap Hurdle. Any number of good runs in handicaps, like I said, goes well fresh, looks as if he's probably been lined up at this fairly valuable prize. So Telecon is definitely of interest in that over at Galway. And the 2:37 on Saturday, the 3:12 at Galway on Saturday is the valuable 2 mile 6 furlong handicap hurdle as well. And a horse that caught the eye just running a couple of weeks ago, quite notably for me, was Winning Smut at Killarney, where really unlucky not to win, I thought, over 2 mile 7 that day. He creeps in just at the bottom of the weights in here. He's really progressive. I think there's plenty more to come from him. And of the Gordon Elliott horses in the field, Jack Kennedy has chosen to ride Winning Smut in that 3:12 as well. So a few horses to keep on the radar for Saturday. We'll see how Friday pans out first, and then keep a check on whichbookie.co.uk for the finalised selections for Saturday, final day of Glorious Goodwood.
Oi, oi, David Young, thoughts for Which Bookie on day 5 of Glorious Goodwood. It's Saturday, Now, we've seen lots of wet weather over the last couple of days. It's going to be interesting to see with Friday's racing still to go ahead. I'm recording this just about 1 o'clock on Friday to get this out as quickly as I can for you guys. But it'll be interesting to see how things pan out, how the ground's riding, what the official going description is. It's going to be a bit torn up given what happened yesterday. So, look, lots of early thoughts for Saturday's card. I wouldn't say that I've got too many bullish selections at this stage, but I think it's wise to have these early thoughts, see what happens with the markets, and we can go from there. So, I'm going to give you a thought on every single race, or at least a line on every single race. The first race, the 120, the Glorious Stakes, really trappy contest this opener. I do like Al-Azi as a horse as much as he's a bit of a monkey. Now there's a bit of ease in the ground, it's harder to make a case against him. 6-4 or short is probably tight enough. Type of horse, though, that if for any reason there was some market weakness about him, or some market correction with horses being backed behind him, he might end up making a bet. I do understand about his temperament at times, but he's a good horse on his day. And he'd be the one that I'd want to side with in there if I did have to. The second race, the 155, the summer handicap over 1 mile 6. It's an interesting handicap with lots of chances on paper. There was 3 on the shortlist. Diraji making handicap debut. This colt doesn't really have the form to warrant the mark of 98. 10-1 is the top prize at the moment. Ryan Moore's books to ride for Dermot Weld. It could be an interesting one, but again, the form I'm not 100% sure stacks up unless they've been messing about with him the last few times. Barnes So's another one, probably about the right sort of handicap mark, having first run for Alan King. Not been long since he's moved yards. Would imagine that this would be a fact-finder mission rather than a target, so at 16-1 probably could take or leave that one. Feigning Madness is probably the one of the trio that I could be interested in. Has been supported from 33s into 20s at the moment. Has not yet raced at 1 mile 6, but first 2 starts came on soft and heavy, won both those. Once raced with ease since, that was having his first run after being gelded last season, so I think ran in May or April, probably May. Had a gap, got gelded, ran in October. I don't think that was a bad run, to be fair. This season's had a few starts. Like I say, this is like 1 mile 6 for the first time. I think this horse is open to loads of improvement. 20-1 about this horse could look very big. In the third race for Saturday, the 230, the Lily Langtree Stakes. This is a bit of a matchup, in my opinion, between Terms of Endearment and Goody Two Shoes. With the ground potentially on the slower side, Terms of Endearment, last year's winner, does look like the right favourite. That's the way the market's going at the moment. I do respect Goody Two Shoes, but it's probably a race where I think I just leave alone and sit back and watch. The 305, the Stewards Cup. This is a race where I do have a bit of an opinion in there. From a profile-y, trendy perspective, El Munjed and Al Zahir, they would be the two that tick most of the boxes. Ideally, you want to be drawn stall 15 or higher, so they both do fall short on there. They ran against each other last time out. There's bits and pieces of form with both those horses that would suggest they could run okay. El Munjed's a 9-1 shot, though, and Al Zahir's a 33-1 shot. So big price discrepancy between the two of those. One I need to still figure out, I guess. A horse I do need to definitely mention, those Puro Sanguis, who I was very keen on for Ascot. Ground does need to be a bit easier for this horse, which he's going to get this time, especially compared to what happened at Royal Ascot. Oisin Murphy's ridden this horse loads. I don't think Oisin Murphy's ever ridden on this won on this horse, though. Will Buick takes the ride here, so I wouldn't necessarily see it as a massive positive or a massive negative, but I do like William Buick as a jockey. I think it's an important booking in there. Like I said, the ground is easy enough for him. He's kind of well found in the market now. He's been close to single figures. He was 16s or maybe even 20s in the short-term anti-post market for this, but he's all right. He's got a draw in 6, which could prove to be okay if the ground is bad, but typically you want to be drawn high. Might be a horse just to fill the frame for places, but it would be remiss of me not to mention Puro Sanguis when he is firmly on my radar for the Stewards Cup, slightly off the radar with the draw, but shouldn't really be enough to put me completely off him. In the 345, the Whispering Angel handicap over 7 furlongs, 3 on the short list. Rare Change, that horse is in decent form. We've got Andersight, who definitely looks well worth trying at this trip. And then Spirit of Far for Charles Bishop and Eve Johnson-Horton. Loves slower than good ground. So they would definitely be 3 for my place pot. See how we might decide to play those on the day. As we always say, check the whichbookie.co.uk, link in the description to find what our final thoughts are every single day. In the 420 is a maiden stakes. There's no real strong opinion in here, but I do need to mention that Andrew Baldwin's won 3 of the last 4, so Ghost Mode could be worth a second look. Another horse that's being ridden by Will Buick on Super Saturday. Then the last race, the Coral Golden Rewards Shaker Handicap over 1 mile, 1 furlong. 2 horses of real interest here. They are sort of priced accordingly. Gladius for Andrew Baldwin. Got to defy a £7 rise for a win last time out in handicap debut. But again, Will Buick Mount looks like he's got a proper chance, this horse. And then Alpha Crucis for Gary and Josh Moore, but also Colin Keane's taking the ride here. He's a course and distance winner. The slower the ground, the better this horse's chances are. Now, given the fact that this is being recorded early and we've got time until that last race, we'll see how the track is potentially riding, but probably an obvious shortener from an each-way play perspective. It's a big enough field. There's 18 runners and then there's lots of horses that do probably have a chance. Boyfriend for Richard Hannon and Ryan Moore looks like a nice type as well. There's lots of horses that got chances in here, to be fair. Gladius and Alpha Circus were the two that are on my radar. At the price they are, I'd sit and wait. So you can have to check the column to see what the final thoughts are. Thank you so much for all your support this week and just throughout the season. We really do appreciate it. Drop a like on the video if you'd like to do so. Please subscribe to the Whichbookie YouTube channel if you haven't already. You'd like to do so, and you can do that with a YouTube account. And drop a comment below what your best bet is for Saturday. We will see you again very soon.